What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday night in the middle of the 2022 NBA playoffs. We'll talk about some playoff action today. We'll talk about some draft stuff. We're actually going to do a mock draft, and I'll talk about how we're going to do that in a little bit. And we'll also talk basketball because, Eric, you met up with Dro. Did anybody else show up to that run that you put together earlier today?
Well, the initial court was all puddly and
Fun.
not really basketball suitable. So we ended up going somewhere else. And so, yeah, it was just Dro and I. And then Mr. Payan showed up later, too. We played some 3-on-3 against some people that were there at the park. And Dro and I played some 1-on-1. And that was about it. But hopefully, when the weather gets nicer, a few more people can show up.
So I want Dro's scouting report right now, and I want it to be negative, okay? What was Dro's weaknesses?
Dro's pretty good actually. He's got a good jumper. Self-proclaimed CJ Ellaby-esque. It does look a lot like CJ Ellaby's jumper.
Oh god. And it goes in? Oh, I'll have to see that to believe that.
But yeah, so we played 1-on-1, and it was kind of like when you and I played 1-on-1. I was like trying to be respectful of not using my size to my advantage and just
What do you mean?
letting him shoot threes, because I'm slow. But yeah, so
You post me up when we played, right?
no, I never.
I'm
Posted.
6'4". Man, I can. You don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Well, both of you
How
guys
tall is
have
Dro?
said something beforehand. He's probably like 6 feet tall.
Okay, yeah. See, that's a little bit more of a mismatch. But all I said, this is an ongoing conversation from like 3-4 years ago. All I said when I played Eric 1-on-1 is just, have you guys ever played 1-on-1 chat against somebody who's just like, they're strong and, big, and they just will take, if it takes 50 dribbles to back you under the rim, they'll take 50 dribbles to back you under the rim until you're completely under the rim, and then they'll lay it in.
Yeah, but that's not fun for me.
I just said, no, like, back down cheese. That's all I said. I didn't know if Eric would know what I meant by back down cheese, so I said 3 dribbles maximum, which is a pretty good drill of, like, making use of your dribbles and not stand there dribbling a bunch, but that's what I said, and now Eric, I haven't heard the end of that, so.
Yeah. But no, you beat me fair and square, and Dro beat me fair and square as well because he was hitting his threes, and I didn't really know how quick he was off the dribble, so I was kind of giving him shots, just hoping he missed, like, similar to when I played you. And he was making his shots, and then, like I said, on offense, I was very conscious of not trying to get him into the paint and just shoot over him, so I just took a lot of jumpers too. But yeah,
I will destroy Dro. Dro's not even here. I will destroy Dro, okay? I will destroy Dro for you. I'll get your revenge. I will gladly. Oh,
it's all good. Because
then revenge for you.
We ended up getting asked to play 2-on-2, so Dro and I had to team up and play, and then we eventually had Leo join our team, Mr. Payan, and then so we had to take care of another team that way. But not the greatest competition or anything, but both of those guys are, especially Dro was he's really good at not only cutting, but cutting in a way where he's able to use his body to shield off the player to not only catch the pass, but then to get a shot off. So I was pretty impressed with the way he cut in front or behind someone, depending on how the defense was playing him, and got to the rack that way. But yeah, was pretty fun to play.
So he's learned something from watching our channel. Yeah, he's learned something from watching us.
And then you know me, I just like to stand there and pass the ball, so I didn't really shoot them.
You're like a true 1950s pivot, where you just stand, catch the ball, fake one way, pass the other. No, you can throw backdoor passes though. You can pass, but we gotta get you in shape for Rip City 3-on-3 because you're gonna be running around in that I'm not gonna let you post up cheese on and bully everybody this year if the competition's the same. We gotta unleash your skill set and unleash your perimeter ability. So,
Yeah, I definitely need to get in shape. But I don't think either of them are watching. But I met Dro's girlfriend and almost 2-year-old daughter. Just the most adorable little girl you'll ever see. She was super happy and wanted to give me a bunch of high fives and kept saying hi and bye and stuff. It was really cute. So just a lovely experience and a lovely little family there Dro has.
Yeah. Nice. Good for Dro.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start talking about some real basketball.
All
Okay,
right.
so playoffs have been a buzzkill. I'm just going to come out and say it. You might not have a single first-round series go 7, Eric, and I am very disappointed. With all the parity this year, right, it looked like there was a ton of parity going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 series that have ended, the higher seed has won in less than 7 games, and I'm disappointed. There's been some good games, don't get me wrong, but the Raptors lose today. They get blown out. They lose in the first round. Maybe they look to kind of reshuffle things, hopefully, for Portland's sake. You also have Utah losing in the first round. Bogdanovich has a wide open 3 to win the game and misses, and their season ends like that. Very fitting end for the Jazz. That game just went final right before this stream. So you have 2 teams that could potentially look to reshuffle some things. A lot of people are calling for the Jazz to blow it up. So potentially, some players this offseason, maybe some sellers there. And then you have, who lost last? Or no, you had the Pelicans losing against the Suns today as well, so that series doesn't go 7. I really wanted that series to go 7. The Pelicans were up 10 at halftime, and they lose to the Suns, so the Suns are moving on.
Yeah, CJ didn't have the greatest series shooting the ball. Kind of costly for them.
Yeah, but I mean, they were competitive against the Phoenix Suns. Even today, a healthy Phoenix Suns team, it's like people will just look at his stat line and say, oh, well, he hurt the team, or you know what? He made it so much easier on Brandon Ingram in this series because whenever I tuned in, Mikal Bridges is guarding CJ McCollum. Yep. For the majority of that series, Mikal Bridges was on CJ McCollum, which meant that Mikal Bridges wasn't on Brandon Ingram.
And if CJ wasn't there, then yeah, Mikal would be on Ingram.
Yeah, and it'd be much easier to load up on Ingram. So that's the point I tried to make for the longest time, is that even if CJ doesn't shoot the ball well, struggles defensively, just how much of an offensive threat he is, it still makes his teammates better, even if he's not touching the ball, right? Even if he... that's the thing everybody wants to say. When CJ's not making shots, he's not helping the team. But just his presence out there on the court helped this Pelicans team. His leadership in the locker room, the fact that he was able to take some pressure off of Ingram, even though CJ didn't have the best shooting series. This series almost went 7 games, and I know Booker missed, a little bit more than half the series, but still, you're talking about a 64-win Phoenix Suns team and a Pelicans team that started like 3-15. Mm-hmm. So I'm not here for the CJ McCollum slander. It was his first time being the lead guard in the playoffs. It's a whole different ball game. Dame has had series where he's shot terribly, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is when you're the number one guy the defense is paying attention on, it's really hard to... it's harder than it is in the regular season to kind of get yours. Mm-hmm. But if you have solid teammates, a solid team around you, they can take advantage of that. So I think Brandon Ingram did that because he had a big series, and the Pelicans look competitive, and we'll see what happens with Zion long term, if they get him back, if we'll ever finally see the floor. But I mean, the CJ McCollum getting traded there completely changed the whole perception of the Pelicans. So, it kind of sucks for them that it has to end here. I wish it ended freaking earlier, right? But at this point, I was rooting for Game 7 with the Pelicans and Suns just for the entertainment, just for the potential chaos, and I'm kind of bummed that they lost tonight.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how CJ turns that experience into next year, theoretically with Zion. So you have, 2 better weapons than CJ in Zion and Brandon Ingram. So I would like to see how he utilizes having 2 forwards like that on his team. And hopefully he doesn't go into super shot happy mode, especially if he's struggling or the defense is paying attention to him. If he can get Zion going, that'll be interesting to see how he changes his game to mesh with those 2.
And, bro, yes, CJ McCollum's a bad defender. It's funny that people come in here and say, do you see him play bad defense? Like he's never been a good defender. And I'm not arguing that he is, but he's still a good NBA player. He's still... You think the Pelicans are even making the playoffs without him? Hell no. You think the Pelicans are taking this Suns team to a competitive 6 games, even with Booker missing time, without CJ McCollum? Hell no. Hell no. He came in there and completely revitalized that franchise. Okay, and it's just CJ has some haters for whatever freaking reason. And Steve Peterson says perfect reason why you can't win with CJ in the playoffs. Without CJ, that team's getting swept, even without Booker. With CJ, they almost won Game 6. Okay, they lost by 6, and that was a healthy Phoenix Suns team. They had Booker back, right? A team that won 64 games, and they still almost pushed it to 7 games. So the whole can't win with CJ in the playoffs. CJ led this organization to a Western Conference Finals, the furthest Dame has ever been, the furthest I've ever seen this team go. He put the team on his back, poured 37 in Game 7 of the Western Conference Semifinals. So stop with the BS CJ slander and saying that you can't win with them in the playoffs, because we've seen that that's false, unless some people have memory issues. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and we know CJ is capable of getting super hot or going super cold. So yeah, that's why I said I want to see how he progresses his game outside of the shooting, because that's kind of it's a hit or miss thing with him, and it's going to be a hit or miss thing. So I'd like to see him evolve, like I've always wanted to see him, into a little better, using his ability to get into the middle of the paint as a facilitator versus a shooter if he's struggling. But we've also seen him hit many of those in a row, like you mentioned in that Game 7. So I don't blame him for shooting those shots. It's just at some point he's got to realize that, especially like I said, next year, if he has better teammates, that he doesn't always have to take bad shots or tough shots.
Yep, absolutely agree. So the only series left is Memphis, Minnesota. I'm hoping that goes 7 just for entertainment purposes. But yeah, it just sucks that there's really no Game 7s. Mm-hmm. It was fun back in 2014 when the Blazers beat the Rockets, and then like every other series went 7 games, and we took care of business in 6. And we got to enjoy a bunch of Game 7s. Do or die basketball is the best. That's what you've seen in the play-in. And it just sucks that we don't get to see it in the first round. But you got some intriguing second-round matchups. You got Heat and Sixers. That's intriguing for sure. And then you got Celtics-Bucks. Could be the best series. Bucks will be without Chris Middleton in that series. So Celtics, I think, are the favorites going into that. That'll be competitive. You got Memphis, Golden State. And Memphis is the higher-seeded team. Or no, not Memphis. I'm tripping. What the hell? Yeah, Memphis, if they can take care of business, I'm assuming they're going to take care of business and they're going to win in 6. That's just kind of how the first round has gone this year. But then you got Phoenix and Dallas. So Luka versus Booker and Chris Paul. It'll be interesting to see if Luka can put that team on his back. But I think the Suns will have an easier time with Dallas than they had with New Orleans if they just stay healthier, because that was a big equation in that first round. And then I think you have 2 competitive Eastern Conference series. And if Memphis takes care of business, it'll be really interesting to see the upstart Grizzlies versus the return of the Empire with Golden State.
Yep, for sure. I don't know. Like Golden State, at first, they looked like they were going to be very tough to beat, but then they look kind of human again towards the end of that series. So that'll definitely be a fun series no matter who they play. And then Dallas has played well. I mean, we clowned them for that trade. It still doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I mean, you got to hand it to Jason Kidd. He's done a really good job with that team and the personnel they have. And Luka is just an amazing player who can elevate any team, really. But they even win without him in the series. So, I wouldn't put it past them at least giving Phoenix some fits. But ultimately, if Booker's healthy, I think Phoenix is a little too strong for any of those teams in the West still.
Yep, I agree. Anyway, do you want to jump into the mock draft that we're going to do?
Sure.
Are you ready for that? Okay, so in the past, we've done mock drafts where we've drafted based on who we think the team would take. Okay, so we've thought, okay, San Antonio, what type of players would they usually take? What position do they need? What positions have they addressed? We've just thought of it from the team's perspective and tried to draft who we thought they would take. Today, we're going to take who we would take. Okay, so there might be some reaches, some players that were high on that get taken, but we're going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to do it like that. Hopefully that difference makes sense. We've asked you guys how we should do it in the past. Today we're just going to go based on who we would take for each team, based on our own opinions, not what we think the team would think. So, anyway, we're going to start things off with the Tankathon sim. A good old Tankathon sim. Eric, I haven't seen this in a minute. I remember looking at this and being intrigued.
Before you tank a thon, let's choose who's picking odds and even. That way, no matter what happens, we already know, and we don't have to decide who gets the Blazers.
Okay, do a random number generator 1 and 2, or flip a coin. Do you have a coin?
No, I don't have.
I don't think I have a coin. Well, we should have thought of this actually. Do I have a coin?
Alright.
Oh wait, no, I do have a coin. Okay, heads, you're odds. Tails, I'm odds.
Okay.
It's tails, I'm odds.
Okay.
Alright. Simulate it. 14 is Cleveland. 13. Oh, you already got a team moving up. I don't know who the hell was 13, but this is already going to be wild. The Clippers fall down, or the Thunder fall down with the Clippers pick. 12 is New York. 11 is Washington. 10 is Sacramento, moving down 3 spots.
Holy crap.
9 is Portland. Jeez. 8 is Indiana. 7 is OKC. 6 is Detroit. 5 is Houston. 4 is Orlando. So the 3 teams that moved up are top 3. This is wild. 3 is San Antonio, 2 is New Orleans, and 1 is Charlotte.
Wow.
Do you want to keep this sim, or is this too wild?
Man. No, that's fine. Whatever.
I'm down to ask chat, because this obviously is not going to be anything close to realistic, but...
you never know.
What a Tankathon sim. Okay.
That's so weird.
Chat, should we keep
12-6-6?
Yeah. It doesn't make... That's wild.
Man, if the Hornets luck out, that's crazy.
Don't vote no because the Blazers fell down to 9, okay? Just vote no if you think it's like too far out there to have fun with a mock draft on. No, I beg you. Nope. Anything could happen. You're falling down 3. Imagine that happens. Imagine how upsetting that would be.
See, I'm
well, then we'd be like, 9 for Jeremy
happens.
Grant. 9 for Jeremy Grant. It's slow enough.
Yeah. We tanked a season just to trade for Jeremy Grant when we didn't even have to.
Alright, I'm going to do another one. If it's more realistic, I'll do it. It doesn't matter what the Blazers are. If it's just not as wild, I'll do it. So, I still have the other one saved. Let's simulate it again and see if we got something a little bit more solid. Cleveland 14. Oh, the Charlotte moves up again.
It's meant to be.
New York at 12. Washington 11. What? There's no way. Sacramento's at 10. They're falling down 3 spots.
Or maybe you didn't hit it.
Indiana's at 9, so Portland moves up. No, I did hit it. I opened up a new tab.
4 teams in the... See, we have to redo it again because
I know.
If we redid the last one, there's no way.
Charlotte got 1 again.
Four teams, man. This is kind of a cool sim, but
look at it compared to the other one.
I know.
See, I had 2 tabs open.
Look at this: 12-6-5-5, or 12-6-3-5, 4-4-4-4-4.
Yeah.
Negatives.
Well, Charlotte, New Orleans, and San Antonio all moved up in the first one, and they all moved up in this one. All right, we're doing a new one because that's wild. Kind of fishy Tankathon. Anyway, simulate the lottery. At 14, you have Cleveland. Moment of truth. At 13, you got Charlotte.
Okay.
All right, we're keeping this one. At 12, you have the Thunder via the Clippers. At 11, you got New York. At 10, you got Washington. 9, San Antonio. 8, the Pelicans. 7, Sacramento. 6, Portland. 5, Houston. 4, OKC. 3, Detroit. 2, Indiana. 1, Orlando. So this was the opposite of wild. All right. This is what we're rolling with then. I don't have to change much in Fanspo, so that's good. Let's see. We had Orlando, Indiana, Detroit, OKC.
So I thought of I'm going to do it also on my screen so that I don't have to keep asking you to scroll.
That's smart.
I'm not going to do the right order, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 teams being different. And then 5 was Houston got screwed. All right, cool. All right, there's our draft order. Let me just look at chat one final time since I can't look at chat when I have this up. Yeah, that was funny, huh, chat? Let me end this poll. That was wild. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's go back to Fanspo, which is the site we're using for this mock draft. Mock draft order is good. All right.
Once again, like Tori said, we are choosing who Tori would pick for his picks and who I would pick if I was that team for my picks. And chat, feel free to chime in with who you would pick at each spot as well.
Yep. Okay, so number 1 is Orlando, and you already know where I'm going to go here. My guy Jalen Suggs plays for Orlando. Okay, and Jalen Suggs and Chet Holmgren were high school teammates. Chet Holmgren right now is the number 1 player on my big board. Right now, because I could have this changed a bunch. But I feel like this is probably where I'm going to settle, to be honest. I've tried not to be biased, and I don't think I'm being biased.
There's no way you're not going to settle this way.
I mean, I've knocked him down by being the opposite of biased. You know what I mean? Like, I've been biased against him, so I'm not biased for him. You're
pulling I can be unbiased, and then you're just...
Bro, but here's what I'm going to say to anybody that says I'm biased with my draft rankings. I don't have Drew Timme in my top 60. I thought Rui was a reach at 9 when Washington took him, if I recall correctly. I've soured on Strother. Nemhard is, I don't have those guys above consensus. I didn't have Suggs above consensus. I had him at 4. That was the consensus last year. The consensus for Chet is he's 1 or 2, maybe 3, but... So, I haven't been above consensus on a Gonzaga prospect for, the last 5 or 6 prospects. Mm-hmm. So, that's what I'd say to that. Anyway, I'm going Chet, number 1 to Orlando. I don't know if they plan on keeping Bamba. Chet and Bamba together would be very intriguing. They also have Wendell Carter Jr., so they have to sort that out. But you just go for the best player available, and I think that's Chet. Pair him with Jalen Suggs. That would be cool. All right. 2 is Indiana, Eric.
Indiana is taking Jabari Smith and running with it. Yes.
You got Jabari. All right. 3, you got Detroit. And...
This is interesting.
I mean, Jaden Ivey makes a lot of sense for Detroit, but Banchero and Cade, you got some big playmaking there. It's just they're questionable playing off each other. I just don't know how I like that fit long-term because they're both kind of questionable shooters. And Jaden Ivey... Cade's a big point guard, so I think you can play him and Jaden Ivey in the backcourt, and that works on both ends of the floor. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Ivey. I think Ivey makes more sense for Detroit.
All right.
4, you got OKC, Eric.
OKC is going to shock the world and take Shaedon Sharpe.
You would take Sharpe instead of Banchero for OKC?
Well, okay.
This is who you would take, bro.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. All right. So I just wanted to say something about Sharpe.
Yeah.
I believe he is either going to go top 5, or he may slip a little bit. And my reasoning for that is, if his measurements are close to accurate, and he wows in workouts, there's going to be someone who falls in love with him and takes him in the top 5. If he doesn't work out well, or maybe his measurements don't go well, I feel like a lot of teams might start to not necessarily sour on him, but be not quite as caught up with the intrigue of him being a mystery. And so I think he might slip a little bit towards 10-ish. So I feel like he's either going to wow people, and they're going to be like, wow, this is a guy we cannot afford to be the team that passed on him. Or it's going to be well, the hype just isn't matching his actual what he's
Yeah,
showing. So I don't feel like there's much middle ground for Sharp.
I mean, he could wow in one workout and then struggle in another workout.
Yeah.
Depending on who he struggles for or wows, that could lead to him slipping a little bit, but not to 10. Um, I agree overall with the sentiment. I just don't think it's clear cut and dry because I think there could be some inconsistency with his workouts, or maybe teams are like more impressed by certain things that other teams aren't. So that's kind of the only chance at some middle ground there. But who would you go with at 4?
All right, I'm taking Banchero then.
All right, you're going Banchero. So at 5, you got Houston. Houston's kind of a weird team, weird situation because they don't really have a point guard of the future. I mean, I guess that's Kevin Porter Jr., but I don't like Kevin Porter Jr.'s game a whole lot. They got Jalen Green, of course. Assuming Shaedon Sharpe can play the 3, him at the 3 with Jalen Green at the 2 is very offensively dynamic. Maybe, I don't know, like, it's kind of a weird fit, but I think Houston just has to go for the talent here. So I would go with Shaedon Sharpe for them. And then 6, you got Portland. Eric, have fun with this.
Yeah, this is a nightmare situation for Portland, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they want one of the top 5. I don't feel great about anyone else. In terms of taking them 6, like I don't really have a huge difference. So I'm just going to take the guy who I think has the most potential here, I guess, or most star potential, and that's Benedict Mathurin.
All right, you're going Mathurin at 6. At 7, you got... Oh, God. At 7, you got Sacramento. I just... They have Sabonis, so I don't know what Duran makes sense, but I don't think... Like, I think they need... I don't even know what the plan should be for Sacramento. They're just a mess.
Well, what's your plan?
My plan, I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to get back as much as they gave up for Sabonis, so I don't think that they should necessarily look to trade him, but I also think they should look to trade him. I just don't like Sabonis and Fox as a pairing. AJ Griffin can shoot, and they need a shooter, I guess, and him playing off Fox and Sabonis would make sense. I don't know. I've soured a little bit on AJ Griffin. I just don't think he's going to measure super well. But at this point, I guess I think you just go wing and go AJ Griffin.
Okay.
All right, at 8, you got New Orleans, Eric.
All right, the New Orleans Pelicans. So, obviously, I'd be concerned about Zion long term. I feel like I need another guard next to CJ, and I feel like Malachi Branham would be a very good choice. So I'm going to surprise people and take Malachi Branham here.
You like Branham's fit better than Johnny Davis's?
In this particular, no, not really, but I'm just going to take Branham because I said it already.
Man, all right. Take away my sleeper pick. At 9, you got San Antonio. I think Duran makes a lot of sense here. I feel like they should move off Pirtle. I would try and move off Pirtle, maybe in a year or two, and bring in Jalen Duran and have him kind of be the backup until he, is ready. And they need kind of a big man of the future. They're just in a weird spot. So I think you go for upside here. If it's not Duran, I could see them, I would be intrigued by like a Ousmane Dieng or a Jeremy Sohan, just a big guy, fluid athlete with some flashes of skill to develop under Popovich. But at this point, I'm just going Duran for them. All right, 10, you got Washington. Eric.
And
this is intriguing because of who's left on the board, but also their roster.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Johnny Davis.
All right, solid. They need some guard help now. So I like that pick. 11, you got New York. And... If I'm New York, I'm trying like hell to trade Julius Randle.
Oh, hey, for Ant and a first.
Hell no. From Portland's end.
No,
if I'm New York, I'm saying, please.
There was an article.
We'll just take... Yeah, I know. It was BS. New York needs an upside play. New York's in a tough position where they are too good right now to end up with like a really high draft pick unless they get lucky as hell in the lottery, but they're not good enough to make it out of the first round. They didn't even make the play-in games this year. So they need to... They gave out some bad contracts. They don't have a ton of flexibility. They need to just go for an upside play that could maybe develop alongside RJ Barrett, alongside maybe Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, Cam Reddish. I'm going to go with Ousmane Dieng for them, just because I think he has the most upside at this point in the draft. I like his upside. I think he would be an intriguing fit next to an RJ Barrett, next to Obi Toppin. He's going to have to be able to knock down shots to really fit next to those guys, but I feel like he can be a solid enough shooter and then be a playmaker on top of that. So I'm going to go with Ousmane Dieng.
Okay.
At 12, you got OKC. Took Banchero at 4.
Man. This probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think if you're at 12 and Keegan Murray is still on the board, I think you got to take him.
You take Keegan Murray for them?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like that landing spot there for him.
Well,
but...
I'm just thinking it as a value and possibly work out a trade later, but getting him falling all the way down this far, I think is too good to pass it.
Okay. 13, you got Charlotte. And I would go with Jeremy Sohan here. Move Miles Bridges to the 3 if Sohan's ready to start. You can play Sohan at the 4. Defensively, I like his fit. Up-tempo offense, I like his fit. So I'm going to go Sohan at 13. For Charlotte, 14, you got Cleveland. Eric?
All right. I think Cleveland's kind of finding themselves lucky to be here at this point, having a pick in this draft when they thought they would not. And I'm probably looking to move off of Colin Sexton if that's the case, but obviously I can't plan for that. So I think a guy like Agbaji would fit in really well on Cleveland, and I would take him.
You're just saying that because that's what the Cavs fans apparently want, aren't you?
What?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No clue.
So I put Dyson Daniels just because I like Dyson Daniels as like third guard, replace Ricky Rubio. And I had 2 Cleveland fans that came in there and were like, "You don't know basketball. They would take Agbaji." I'm like, jeez. So that was my last mock draft. I didn't know if you saw that, but I was curious to see who you're going to go with them, and you sided with my haters, so I'm sad. No, I mean, he makes a lot of sense there. They definitely, I think, will go guard, and a guard big enough to play next to Garland, so Agbaji makes a lot of sense. At 15, we got Charlotte, and for Charlotte, I would go with... I don't know if I want to go center or if I want to go with something else. I'm struggling here. You know what? I like Koloko enough to take him here. I'll take him 15 for Charlotte. That was a hard pick, but they need a long-term center. They don't really have that, and preferably a guy that can kind of run the court a little bit, good pick and roll player and protect the rim, good lob target, and that's Koloko, I think. So him or Mark Williams would be solid. I went Koloko. 16 got Atlanta.
All right, so Atlanta. I think Atlanta's an interesting team that could definitely rebuild, but I would think putting a big guard next to Trey Turner or Trey Young.
Trey Turner.
I don't know why I said
You think of baseball?
I don't know. I think that's probably the best idea. And so here at this spot, I think Dyson Daniels is too good of a value to pass up. So I'm going to Dyson.
Yeah, that's very, very solid. All right, 17, I got Houston. And there's a couple guys that make a little sense for them. I'm just going to go with Eason. Just defensively makes a lot of sense. I think you can play the 3 or the 4. So next to Sharpe and Jalen Green, you're going to need somebody that can play defense. So I think Tari Eason makes sense there. 18, you got Chicago, Eric.
All right. So the Bulls, need something. I don't know. I don't think they need guards. I think they're pretty good there. Since this is me, I am going to go for high risk, high reward and take Jovic here.
Yeah, Jovic makes some sense there.
If it was the actual Bulls, I think EJ Liddell makes a lot of sense. They kind of need some sort of scoring punch off the bench when their guards are struggling.
Yep. At 19, we got Minnesota, and God, Minnesota's weird. Yeah, Minnesota's hard. I think because it got good perimeter play, obviously, with D'Lo, with Anthony Edwards, with Pat Bev. They don't really need a point guard. They don't need a Jaden Hardy. I would just go with Liddell. I'm not super high on Liddell, but just given positional need, I think he makes some sense there at 19 for Minnesota. So I'm going with him. 20, you got San Antonio, Eric.
You went with Duran?
At 9, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, looking at this board, I think even though he's a point guard and they have DeJounte Murray, I think Ty Washington makes a lot of sense for them, and so I would take Ty.
All right. Value pick. 21, we got Denver. And I don't really like this player, but I think the best fit for him would be Denver, and that's Kendall Brown. They need an on-ball stopper. He's a good cutter and an athlete. I think he would play really well off Jokic, off the ball. So I'm going to go Kendall Brown. It makes a lot of sense for them. Any other team at that point in the draft, I would be like, but I like Kendall Brown there.
Okay. Poor man's Aaron Gordon, I guess.
Yeah, right. Well, I would then try and trade Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, good luck with that contract.
I think Kendall Brown is a better on-ball defender than Aaron Gordon. Or will be a better on-ball defender than Aaron Gordon on perimeter guys. So that's like really the only redeeming value outside of his athleticism. But his athleticism and his on-ball defense kind of goes together, but I just think they gotta go with the best perimeter defender at this point in the draft. And that's I think probably the best one, unless I'm blanking on someone.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got? Memphis up next?
Memphis at 22, yeah.
All right. So we know Memphis is really good at drafting. And I think at this point in the draft, you just got to take the best player available. And to me, that's Mark Williams.
All right. You're going Mark Williams, 22 to Memphis. 23, you got Brooklyn. And Brooklyn needs... They kind of need somebody that can create their own shot, but they do have Cam Thomas, so I don't really feel good about Jaden Hardy. I don't know what their plan is with, or I mean, I gotta think of it from my point of view. But I don't know what Kyrie's going to do. I have no idea what Kyrie's like. Kyrie's just kind of a wild card.
I mean, you expect him to stay, but he's also, not logical sometimes.
I mean, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm really trying to trade this pick no matter what, especially if the board is looking like this. But if not, I'd maybe go with... Oh my god, this is just gross, dude. I'd go with Beauchamp just because he has size to play the 3, listed as 6'7". And offensively is kind of intriguing. I don't like picking here for Brooklyn. I would definitely try and trade the pick, but I'm going to go Beauchamp at 23.
Okay.
24, you got Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee, another team that kind of just can afford to take the best player available. They obviously have a decent offense and defense. And so I think I would just take a swing here on Jaden Hardy.
All right, Jaden Hardy, I like it for them. All right, 25, you got San Antonio. They took Duren. They took Ty Washington.
Real quick, who did you take before Hardy?
At 22 or at 23? Oh, I took Beauchamp.
Okay, thanks.
At 25, you got San Antonio. San Antonio has too many meh players. Way too many meh players. I think they're in position to swing on somebody with some size and maybe a little bit of skill. I feel like Patrick Baldwin Jr. has a ton of bust potential, but he was a top 10 prospect coming into college. Kind of had a weird situation playing for Milwaukee. Not a lot of talent around him. He can, shoot the ball, didn't have good percentages, but as 6'9", a guy that can shoot and handle a little bit, I feel like after taking Duren and Ty Washington, I feel like Patrick Baldwin Jr. would make a lot of sense for San Antonio to just take a chance on, so I'm going to go with him.
Oh, did you hear the news about him today?
What?
He's entered the transfer portal, even though he's still
declared for the draft.
Staying in the draft.
Yeah, that's
kind of
so
weird.
I don't understand that.
I mean, I guess there's a chance he could get bad feedback and go back to school, but
yeah. Agreed. All right, so 26, you got Dallas.
Dallas, I think Dallas needs some help up front still, especially if they're trading Porzingis. And I'm not a fan of Walker Kessler, so I am going to go down my draft board a little bit, and I would take Jalen Williams. I think he'd be a really good fit in Jason Kidd's defense and play well next to Luka. The Arkansas Jalen Williams.
Yeah. Where's he at? Hello? I don't know. I can't find him. Was he listed as a power forward? Or was he listed as a center?
He
was listed as a center. Okay.
I don't know.
Jalen Williams. All right. Solid 27. We got Miami, and this is pretty much the easiest pick so far. Kennedy Chandler still on the board. Best value. Makes sense as a long-term Kyle Lowry replacement. I'm going Kennedy Chandler 27 for Miami.
Did you have that in your mock, too?
Yeah. And I loved it in my mock, and I love it right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we know that Golden State is not afraid to take chances or go for players that they think have the highest upside. So I think here they consider a lot of players, but ultimately I think Blake Wesley is just too intriguing of a defensive guard. Kind of maybe as Curry gets older, you go with a Poole Wesley backcourt of your future, and I think that's who they take.
Wesley. All right, 29 is Memphis. They took a center. I don't know what to do with Memphis, man. I would go with... I don't know if they should swing upside. I don't know what position they should go for. They have a lot of depth, so it's really hard to think about positional needs, so I think they don't really consider that. I just don't know if I want to go upside or if I want to go with something solid. Who would you take here if you were Memphis, Eric?
That's not who I'd take.
This one. I'm struggling with this one because I know who I would take if you didn't take Mark freaking Williams. But honestly, I would go Roddy. Play him at the 3. Try and get him to lose 30 pounds and see what you have. They're in position to kind of take on a guy that if he could easily be a bust, but he has ball skills, can shoot the ball, can pass the ball. Probably not the best offensive player, but I would just draft Roddy and see what he would look like if you got him to lose some weight. Maybe if he's 25 pounds lighter. So that's what I'm doing at 29 for Memphis.
Okay.
30, you got OKC, Eric.
Yeah, so...
They took Banchero and Keegan Murray.
Yeah. Really happy with the value of those 2 picks. Obviously, 4th and 12th, you don't expect to get those 2 guys.
You need another power forward.
Yeah, so who's
Isaiah
the best
Mobley.
one? Yeah. No, honestly, I think going back to kind of going young and banking on possibly a jump from a young player, Trevor Keels is only 18, so I think I'd take him to kind of add to my backcourt there.
All right, Trevor Keels. 31, you got Indiana. They took Jabari Smith. If I were them, I would try and trade Brogdon. Try and bring Duarte off the bench. You got Buddy Hield there as well. I feel like they need somebody done. I would go Christian Brown. I feel like Christian Brown could be a solid sleeper. I don't know what he's listed as 6'6". If he's big enough to play the 3, he makes a lot of sense there, in my opinion. Just as somebody that can do some things off the dribble, knock down some shots. So I'm going to go with him. 31 for Indiana. All right. 32, Chet Holmgren was the first overall pick. You got Orlando, Eric.
Orlando's
should have switched up evens odds for the second round.
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like you were saying this about San Antonio earlier, but I feel like Orlando has too many players and need to consolidate.
There needs to be an expansion, basically.
Yeah. So, I already got Chet. Man, they really don't need bigs or guards. I am going to... I'm going to take... oh, man. I'm going to go kind of off the board and take Leonard Miller.
I don't even know if he's on here. Leonard Miller's a solid pick. I didn't know about him until like a week ago.
He's a small forward. I don't know if
he's apparently 17 feet and 1 inch in height. So yeah, that's really, really good pick, honestly.
You'd think that'd be a good basketball player.
Leonard Miller. All right. 33, this is a very easy pick for me. Toronto needs centers. Ismail Kamagate just screams Raptors pick. to me. Would be a terrific value pick at 33 in my opinion. Kamagate 33, easy pick for our shots Toronto Raptors for me. And 34 you got OKC.
Who'd you just pick?
Kamagate.
All right.
34 you got OKC. They took Banchero, Murray, and Keels. So 2 Duke players
up again.
Yeah. 2 Duke players and Iowa player. You could go 3 Duke players.
Nope. I am. I know you're not going to like this, but I'm taking Ibu Baji.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't understand, but I respect it.
We're going to be sitting here a few years from now saying how wrong you were.
Clip it, mods. Clip it. We'll see, and then tweet it out, and then remind me of this tweet in 5 years. Okay, do it. 35, you got Orlando. They took Chet Holmgren and Leonard Miller. They are now up again. Oh, God, you had trouble with Orlando. I'm having trouble with Orlando. I feel like they could go for a shooting guard small forward type with some wing or a shooting guard small forward type with some upside. So I think Bryce McGowan's makes sense here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I was looking for them earlier.
Yeah, cool. 36, you get to pick for the Blazers again.
Hey, all right, Blazers. Let's go.
There's not a lot on the board that
makes sense for the Blazers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they might stash this pick, but
I know where I would go for that.
Yeah. All right, chat. I want to ask chat.
All right.
Do you want the Blazers to get crazy here or take someone who I think could help them right away? Keep in mind, we already took Benedict Mathurin, so I don't think taking more makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
People say more LaRavia.
All right, so we got Rowan right away. Crazy, right away. It's pretty split.
Yeah.
All right. So my crazy pick here is going to be Josh Minot.
That's who you're going with?
I'm just going to go with a super athletic young player who has maybe some upside that wasn't utilized right at Memphis, and someone who could maybe come in and Chauncey, if he could teach him how to play defense properly, could be an elite athletic defender.
Yeah. I like it as an upside pick. I just feel like it would kind of be doubling down on like Greg Brown.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Josh Minot. I would have personally went with Orlando Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could be somebody intriguing for Chauncey to develop, given the playmaking flashes off the dribble stuff that he does as 6'11" as a center. It would have been that would have been my pick for them. But 37, you got Sacramento. What were you going to say?
YYC says no international players have been picked yet. I guess he doesn't include Jovic, Kamagate, Ibu Baji.
Yeah.
None of those guys are foreign, I guess, to you.
That's, yeah. I don't understand that. This isn't a great international draft either. Sacramento at 37, they took AJ Griffin at 7. I mean, they could just go for a playmaking wing. I think Wendell Moore Jr. is really good value here, and they could use another wing, I guess. Shooting guard, small forward type with AJ Griffin. You united 2 Duke players. I'm going to unite 2 Duke players, and I'm going to take Wendell Moore for them.
All right.
38, you got San Antonio, who's taken Duran, Ty Washington, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. So Caleb Houston would make a lot of sense. Just go with the big names, the Olshey special.
See, this is where, I mean, this happens every year especially with OKC and stuff, where teams have this many picks and there's no way they end up picking all of them. So
Or at least picking guys that are ready to play right away.
Yeah. So for them, I'm probably going to stash this pick, and in my opinion, that would probably be Hugo Besson.
All right, you're going Hugo. Where's Hugo? All right, Hugo Besson for them. I would have probably went Presida, just positionally, but I don't know enough about either guy.
Aeromancer, they haven't updated some of that. They still have Sheboy on there too, on their board. So
yeah,
Caleb Love.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. At 39, I really like Orlando Robinson for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Mobley would work well together. I think long term he could maybe replace the Kevin Love shooter role off the bench. He's not as pure of a shooter as Kevin Love, but Kevin Love wasn't like a super good shooter coming into the league either. Orlando Robinson could definitely shoot the ball. I just think his offensive upside is too much to pass up, and I think him and Mobley, obviously Jared Allen's going to be the starting center, but a potential backup in the next couple years, and him playing with Mobley could be intriguing, so I'm going to go with him.
Okay. Yeah, that's I've been talking with Alex Wolf about that. I mentioned to him that I wouldn't be surprised with Love only having 1 year on his contract if at 14 they kind of find a long-term third big to pair with Mobley and Allen. So yeah, I think that's pretty good getting Agbaji and Orlando Robinson. That'd be a really good draft for them.
Yeah, I agree. 40, you got Minnesota, Eric. They took E.J. Liddell with the 19th pick, and they have the 48th and 50th picks as well.
All right. So, let's see.
I think I already know my next pick.
I see a player that I have rated pretty high still on the board, and with that many picks, I'm just taking best player available in the second round. So I am taking the other Jalen Williams here.
Yeah, I like that. Scorer off the bench. They just have a lot of wings and a lot of guards, so they got to consolidate. But I like Jalen Williams. Solid pick there. Okay.
And Veeks, and so anyone who's watching, this is who we would pick, not who we think is going to be picked at these spots. Otherwise, yeah, it would look a lot different.
Yep.
Yeah, the other Jalen went to Dallas at 26, Aeromancer.
Yep. At 41, this pick makes a lot of sense for New Orleans. I like Vince Williams Jr. there for them. I think he's underrated going into this draft process. Can shoot, play make a little bit, and play defense. I think he's a guy that could be ready to produce for a team trying to make the playoffs right away. I think he can be a better Garrett Temple, who the Pelicans played a ton this year for whatever freaking reason, to just fit as a perimeter shooting guard, small forward role off the bench. I feel like Branham would start for them that they took with the 8th pick, so I like Vince Williams Jr.
All right.
42, you got New York.
Oh, I'm trying to find.
John Butler is not basically Chet, Mr. T.
He's nowhere near as good on defense. He does get blocks because he's tall, but he's very.
It's crazy, man.
I'm having there's Vince Williams.
I always love when people come in and are like, yeah, this projected borderline undrafted guy is just as good as the projected top 3 pick. Like, you're not some genius that knows something that NBA scouts don't. None of us are, so he could be a G League Chet, maybe. Or a Euro League Chet.
Who did New York take in the first round? They took
Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're just doing a mock draft for who we'd want to pick. Salty, what's up? Congratulations to all the Suns fans that just came in here for winning the first round series.
Yep, all 3 of them. Just kidding.
Yeah. So much like with one of your picks earlier, I think this is a good fit for this player. So if I'm them, I consider taking him here, and I don't really like his fit on a lot of other teams, but that's Walker Kessler. I think he'd be good in a Thibodeau defensive scheme.
If I was the Knicks, I'd fire Thibodeau.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that right now. Obi should have been playing a lot more all season long, and then he finally gets unleashed. And I mean,
Tori, that's the roster. Playing time isn't decided by a coach, so.
Oh yeah, it's
especially
not
one like
the GM, and it's decided by the owner actually, because the owner is the boss of the GM. So, anyway, 43. You got the Clippers. I mean, they're pretty loaded 1 through 3, and at the 4. I mean, I don't. Dude, this is tough. I don't. They're just set in terms of their depth chart. If they lose Hartenstein, they'll just go sign a backup center. Amir Coffey's been okay. You got Reggie Jackson as the starting point guard. You got Norman Powell, Luke Kennard at the 2. Well, Paul George's probably going to start at the 2. Terrence Mann. They're just so loaded on the perimeter. And they got Batum, Marcus Morris at the power forward spot. I would probably just draft and stash someone. Because you also got some solid young players. BJ Boston. Who knows what Jason Preston can do? He was hurt this year. So you already got some developmental pieces behind that too. So I'm just going to go with Presida and stash him.
Okay.
Dude, I can't find him. Okay, there he is. Okay. Yep, Presida for the Clippers, just draft and stash guy. 44, you got Atlanta. Eric, they took Dyson Daniels with the 16th pick.
All right. For Atlanta, I think what do they need? Man,
Talent.
I just saw a guy I really like that I haven't drafted yet, but I don't think he makes sense for Atlanta. For Atlanta, I'm going to take Jabari Walker. I think he'd be a good wing for them.
Actually, I like that a lot. 45, we got Charlotte, who took Sohan and Koloko with 13 and 15. I think this is a position where they could go for a point guard. I would try and trade Terry Rozier and get value back for him. So I'm just going to go with Gene Montero. He's the best point guard left on the board. Kind of a wild card. I think there's a chance he goes undrafted. I don't think the overtime elite move paid off for him, but looked good in the Hoop Summit, but you can't base too much off the Hoop Summit.
So. That'll help a lot if he does similarly in workouts. I think that could help him.
Yep, so Gene Montero for Charlotte at 45. 46, you got Detroit, took Jaden Ivey with the 3rd pick.
All right, so this is actually a good spot for the guy I want to have them take. And since they didn't take a power forward at the 3rd pick, they went with Ivy instead. I am going to go with Musa Diabate here.
Diabate, okay. I thought he was more of a 5-man.
I think he's quick enough to play a 4.
Can he shoot?
He's got shooting potential. He doesn't have a great jumper right now.
I was gonna say I don't.
I mean, he's got decent form. He can pull up on people sometimes, but
he could make some sense next to Stewart, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, 47. You got Memphis. Oh God, this is gonna be. You got Mark Williams and David Roddy. They took at 22 and 29. I am just gonna go for. They're just so loaded on depth. They took 2 players that might be more NBA ready compared to some guys drafted around them. I am going to draft and stash here as well. Precaution would have made a lot of sense for them. Sucks that he didn't enter his name.
Huck Party bowed out too.
Yeah, who's the next best
They don't.
drafting stash
It's
guy?
unfortunately they don't have a lot of the drafting stash on here.
I mean, they could go for a two-way guy, so I think they would sign whoever for their two-way. Actually, I think maybe Harrison Ingram could be their Kyle Anderson replacement if he leaves in free agency, or maybe in a couple years. Kind of might be the
That's
best
not David
NBA
Roddy.
comp for him. Huh?
That's not David Roddy.
Oh, you're hoping one of the two, you know? I was just saying because Ingram kind of reminds me a little bit of Kyle Anderson, offensively at least. So I'm going to go with him.
Got
48, you got Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Took Liddell
again.
and Jalen Williams.
All right. I think if I'm Minnesota, I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not super high on this player for most teams, but I think he would be a good complement in the front court and could play next to Cat, and that is Isaiah Mobley.
Isaiah Mobley. Okay, so they took Liddell, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Mobley. 49, we got Sacramento. They took AJ Griffin and Wendell Moore Jr. They took two wings. I guess they could go for a. Actually, I think LaRavia makes some sense here as a power forward. Position of need at this point in the draft. Guy with some talent. A little bit undersized for, but at least he's skilled. He's not a Thomas Robinson type of guy, so Jake LaRavia makes sense there. All right, 50, you got Minnesota. They took Liddell, Williams, and Mobley.
Vando's fine at power forward. I wasn't saying anything about that. It's just, I just think they're going best players available. Thought about considering picking him a couple spots earlier, but I think at this point you're just throwing, darts at the wall, hoping that one of these guys pans out. And the guy with the highest upside going into this draft or into this college season that's still left, it would probably be Caleb Houston. So I'd probably just take a chance that he figures out his shooting and everything. And you can afford to bring him along slow since you have so much depth at other positions.
Okay, cool. You got Golden State, who's not afraid to make a splash. You know who I feel like would be just a Golden State type of player?
Drew Timmy.
No. Not at all. I'm going to take Jamari Bouye, however you say his name.
All right.
I feel like a little like Steph Curry clone off the bench. College. He's not a Steph Curry clone, but he has some shot making ability. Dude's dynamic. Dude's fun to watch. And they made that work with Jordan Poole, who was a stretch at 28, or looked like a stretch at 28 when they drafted him. He's worked out. So just an offensive player with some talent. After taking Blake Wesley, I think they just go for it because they don't really have a long-term point guard. Gary Payton II could leave. So Bouye is who I'm going with for them. 52, you got New Orleans.
New Orleans again, if they just had the one pick. Yeah.
No, they had Branham and Vince Williams.
Oh, Vince Williams. All right. What do we got here on the draft board?
Murray went 12 to OKC Aeromancer.
think maybe they just stash here, so I'm going to take Khalifa Job.
Okay. All right. 53, it's Boston. They could go for a guy that's ready to help them right away, potentially at the wing spot. Jaime Jaquez Jr. would make some sense in Boston, in my opinion, so I'm going to go with him. 54 is a forfeited pick.
Jaquez went back to school.
Oh, did he? Oh.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay, so this is a forfeited pick anyway, so I'm just going to draft for Boston at 54. Matthew Mayer was a senior, so he declared. It's weird with the super senior stuff, right? He didn't go back to school, did he?
I think it's coming out. Wait, so who was 53?
I put Hawkes for the Celtics, and then the next two picks are forfeited.
Right, yeah.
So I'm just gonna draft whoever.
Just redraft for the Celtics.
Yeah. Similar kind of guy, I guess. Just role player that can do some things. Matthew Mayer is who I'm going with for Boston.
Okay.
And then forfeited pick. Corbello isn't in the draft, so I don't even know why he's ranked so highly. So I'll just draft him. Okay, 56, you got Washington, Eric.
All right. So they took Johnny Davis, but that doesn't really matter when we're talking about second round picks, right? So I think if I'm them, I just go for I pick Dalen Terry here and hope that he improves some of his skills, and I think he's trending in the right direction.
Okay, Dalen Terry. I don't like Dalen Terry.
Cool.
as a not even necessarily as a player, just that stuff he did after that game, and then for them to lose right after
so
that,
triggered.
man.
You get so triggered.
I had them as my champion. I don't know, dude. I don't know. And then they lose the next game. Like, okay, if you win it all, okay. Or if you keep going on around, okay. They lost the next game, man. Anyway, 57 for Golden State. I think they go with the shooter with some size. I'm gonna take Young Jung Lee for them. 58 is Cleveland. They took Agbaji and Orlando Robinson.
All right. I think they can afford to just, once again, bank on a player that had some upside going into this year. There's still a couple of those types of guys left on the board. So I'm going to take Max Christie for them.
All right, Max Christie. 59, I got the Portland Trailblazers. They took Benedict Mathurin, Josh Minot. I'm going to take somebody who I think there's still a legitimate chance that he returns back to school, but I'm going to take Julian Strother. I like his offensive skill set. I've soured on him. I've soured on him. Not to the point where I wouldn't draft him. I take Strother over Timmy.
I'm not a homer. I'm not going to take Timmy, but I'll take Strother.
At 59? Bro, Strother, do you want me to make the case for Strother? Because trust me, I can make it. I just think Strother under Chauncey, he has some offensive skills, fluid, can kind of handle the ball, not super great, but kind of handle the ball. He can shoot the ball, has a good floater. I think that Chauncey developing his offensive skill set would be intriguing at 6'7", so I'm going to go with him. And 60 final pick is Indiana.
Trevin. I think Indiana I don't like that this guy would go undrafted if he doesn't go here, so I'm just going to take Keon Ellis.
Oh, you're taking Keon Ellis. All right. So as far as undrafted players, Champagny, J.D. Davidson, Justin Lewis, Michael Foster, Trevion Williams. Some interesting names there. Jordan Hall. All right. So you went to Keon Ellis. Okay. Here's our draft, our final draft. Okay, good. It's showing up on the screen. Yeah, interesting. Murray falling to 12. Branham and 8. I'm high on Branham. I think I have him 10th on my big board. I like Branham. I think there's a chance that he could rise up and go above a Johnny Davis. And, was high on Coloco. Easton falling to 17 a little bit. But his stock is kind of weird to figure out. Yeah, this was interesting. I like doing it like this.
Yeah.
It's, Wendell Moore falling. Yeah, anyway, that wraps that up. So, any thoughts on that, chat? We'll take questions for 5 or 10 minutes and wrap up the stream. And,
What do you guys think of the Blazers drafting? I know.
Okay, yeah, Mathurin at 6.
Usually they don't like the what we do with the Blazers in these type of settings. But yeah, unfortunately, if the Blazers stay at 6, I think that's the worst case scenario. If the top 5 go the normal 4 and Sharpe, I think that's really tough.
The next stream mock draft we should do a tankathon sim, and then figure out whoever's evens and odds, and then we should propose a few trades that we want our even teams to make, and then the other person would say if that makes sense as a trade or not, and then we can put that into the mock draft.
Yeah.
Before, when we're determining the order. So I think that would be fun for the next mock draft.
Well, Trevin, we can't compare it to drafts we did with 2 lottery picks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one liked that draft last time.
I've finally gotten it out of my mind that we have 2 lottery picks. I'm finally accepted. I've reached the acceptance.
I will never accept it.
Oh, God. I mean...
Because we're going to trade a top 4 pick for 8.
Okay, let me just say, I don't... any draft pick trade for Ayton... why would we go all in on a freaking center? Because that means Nurkic walks. So, we don't address either forward position. We trade a top 4 pick for Ayton. That's just not... That's not a good idea. I don't think Ayton's ever going to be an all-star, so you're trading a top 4 pick for him. I think this is kind of who he's going to be the rest of his career. Very solid.
When 3 of the top 4 picks are forwards that could potentially be all-stars.
Yeah. So from a decision-making standpoint, it makes 0 sense. And then how do you trade a draft pick for a player who's a free agent? Because you have to wait until free agency to sign and trade for him. There's no way you can come to an agreement with Phoenix before the draft, because it'd have to include negotiating with Ayton before the draft, which you're not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about that? Doesn't really make sense. And why would Phoenix, who's trying to win it all, trade Ayton for a draft pick?
Maybe even coming off a championship.
Yeah. When they have Chris Paul at his level of play for another couple years, why would they trade Ayton for a draft pick and take a step back for the last couple years of good Chris Paul? Probably. Mm-hmm. Just doesn't that whole idea makes so little sense. But
Mr. T, man, that's not fair.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I'd absolutely be down. But yeah.
But this is, whether you like Nurk or not, the cost of losing him for nothing and losing a top 4 pick, and then, like you said, not being able to replace our forward spots easily, right? So you're talking about, because in order to do that, well, we're trading our first round pick, right? But we still have to trade out more salary because we couldn't give Ayton a max contract. We're still slightly below doing that, even if we renounce Nurk and Ingles and all that kind of stuff. So you're talking about Nurk, Ingles gone, just to replace Nurk with a questionable how much better center he is than Nurk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine if you think Ayton's much better than Nurk, but relative to all the pieces we'd have to give up, we're much better off just hoping that top four pick is the answer at power forward. And
And
then
then just roll him with Nurk.
The difference between Nurk and Ayton, you re-sign Ingles as well, and you still have the trade exception and the Milwaukee pick to get a forward, whether that's Jeremy Grant or whoever it ends up being. So like, that's much better than basically gutting your team and losing that chance of getting that all-star player with a top four pick just for a slight upgrade. That's questionable upgrade and questionable fit wise in Aiden.
Yeah. Yeah, centers don't make sense to really target this offseason.
Well, I mean, if it was like Embiid or something,
Yeah.
like if they get swept next round and Embiid asks out or something, like sure, give up everything to pair Dame and Embiid together, right?
Yeah.
But like short of that happening, there's no centers that are worth giving up that kind of asset for. And it doesn't make sense for Phoenix, like you said, either.
Like,
So it's just dumb. Yeah.
Like, who's going to be better? Who's better than Nurkic is going to be available? DeAndre Ayton, they're just going to match him unless they get a Godfather offer, which maybe that would be. It still doesn't make sense with their timeline, but that's a terrible trade for us to go all in on a center when we'd have to let Nurkic walk, basically.
I mean, maybe it's like a 3-team trade where they get Gobert out of it and the Jazz get that top 4 pick or whatever, and then we get 8, and I don't know. It's
just like I'd rather have Nurkic and like Paulo Banchero than DeAndre Ayton. That's absolutely absurd to me. We've talked about how this team needs to raise their ceiling to contention. We have a chance at a higher ceiling with Banchero and Nurkic, or Jabari and Nurkic, or Chet and Nurkic, or even Jaden Ivey and Nurkic, and maybe we move off Hart or whatever, move off Ant. Like, we have a better chance at a higher ceiling with that combination than just Ayton. I think Chris Paul, playing next to Chris Paul and Devin Booker, makes Ayton look a little bit better than he is. We saw Bismack Biyombo go to Phoenix this year and play some minutes, and Chris Paul made him look like a phenomenal center who wasn't sitting out all year long. You know what I mean? Like, Chris Paul makes his big men better. Like, he's Chris Paul. So I'd be where you're giving this dude a max, and yeah, he's solid defensively for sure. He's not Rudy Gobert defensively. Like,
where did Salte and Gabe go? They wouldn't have this either.
I know. Like, it's just that's a silly idea, man. Like, if we did that, I would love to hear people just be thrilled, and we'd be the opposite. Anyway, big note of that idea. There's your guys' answer on that.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. Like Tori said, the timing of it, and then you have all these people like, who cares if they tamper or whatever? It's like, well, look,
NBA,
yeah,
I could see them voiding that.
Yeah, they did void the Bogdanovich trade to Milwaukee. Now they didn't void the 2 last year, and I felt like that was a bad message the NBA sent, only stripping them of 2nd-round picks instead of 1st-round picks. I thought they should have done that differently, but
that didn't. But that, like, it was obvious that they had negotiated before, but like the deal was made after.
Right.
With that Ayton trade, you would be able to tell that the deal was made before.
Right, and neither of them involved draft picks from that draft. It was Precious, who was already completed his 1st year, so he was already on the team. So they could have been discussing a trade for those 2, and you could say, because if it's not a current draft pick, you could say, hey, we were already in discussions for Lowry at the trade deadline last year, which is probably what they told investigators, right? And that's why they only gave him a 2nd-round pick. It's like, look, we had this proposed package for him last year, and now that he hit free agency, wanted to come here, we negotiated with them, and it was pretty easy to get a deal done quickly, and the NBA can't really prove either way that there was tampering, other than the fact that trade came out days before free agency. But if you trade a first round pick, then the NBA will say, well, how did you know what pick they wanted? And how did you know that they wanted Banchero at 3 and not Ivy, or you know what I mean? Like, so how do you get around that if you're trying to answer questions if you're the NBA? And how did you know Ayton was going to come here for that pick? And yeah, so it's just very messy, and I could see the NBA avoiding it, like Tori said. So any trades that involve one of our first round picks for something that has to happen after free agency starts, I think is very unlikely in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, even if it's like a top 4 pick in Nurkic, I mean, yeah, any free agent with a draft pick makes zero sense in terms of the logistics and the feasibility of it happening in the timeline with that and what the NBA rules are. So, yeah, that's not a realistic idea, and even if it was, it's a bad idea. So, anyway, any other questions, Williams, for that before we can wrap things up?
I think people are... See, this is going to happen again. People hate Nurkic, and it's somewhat unwarranted, right? It's just they refuse to believe in him as a decent center. They just think he's a bum and he can never make a shot, right?
He averaged 15, 11, and 3 this year.
Even though that's like obviously wrong. And so I saw all kinds of Nurkic hate today, or the last couple of days, man. It's crazy. I think people just hate him so much that they want to just do whatever they can to get rid of him, and even if that includes giving up our lottery pick to make that happen. And I just don't get that at all. It's really, really dumb. And I mean, yeah, maybe if that we get rid of Nurk and we trade him for something else, or we do something else and we get like a Mitchell Robinson at center out of free agency, we're not better next year than we would have been with Nurk. So I just don't get any of that kind of stuff.
Yep. So apparently there was a poll posted on Twitter by the person that came up with that idea, and 66% of the people that voted said they would do it.
Yeah, that's...
This is how we mislead the fan base.
What's that called? The prosecution is misleading the witness or something. What's that called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know exactly. But Travis Demers says, so we get a new starting center and have less to go get your 3 and 4. How does that help the situation? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't. It's stupid. It's a terrible idea.
Demers had some very strong words towards Fentress today too. It's funny.
Demers been spitting, man. Yeah. I've been agreeing with him too.
Yeah. Because there was some stupid guy who said that if Dame asks out, we should trade him for Zion straight up or something. When never mind that doesn't work salary wise, but it's like, we're not going to trade the face or franchise for a person who can't even get on the court. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Any other questions? Put them in chat.
Yeah, Mr. T's right. See, to me, especially if it's like a 2 or 3 year deal, I think it makes sense to slightly overpay for Nurk. I wouldn't have any problem with that. But imagine the outrage if we sign him for even like $15 million for 3 years. Like, people are going to be super mad about it, and it's not going to make any sense.
Yep. So I'm going to reply to Demers and explain that it's not even really feasible because it would be a sign and trade with a pick before free agency. Gotta bring that up.
If you, Max the Lakers fan, asks if you could trade for either Zion or Anthony Davis, who would you pick?
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's tough. I'd probably pick Zion just because he makes a lot less money. It could fit into the TPE. We wouldn't have to worry about how we're going to match salary and all that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be a little easier to trade for him, especially if that's a player our pick could be in play for if we moved up. That would be a huge risk too, but high risk, high reward type situation. So I think I'd choose Zion just because he'd be attainable with our draft pick, whereas Anthony Davis, then we have to talk about whether we're including Josh Hart and how many future first round picks we're going to free up and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Anyway, we aren't gonna propose stuff that isn't feasible. We know the CBA here at Blazers Uprise. We've spent a lot of time studying it, and we're not gonna sit here and say that we should trade a draft pick for a free agent. Because how the hell do you do that? But I mean, this is just where a lot of my frustration lies with certain platforms and people is they just mislead people into what's possible, and it's frustration. It's basically just misinformation. Just bring that up as if it's feasible, and people trust you because they listen to you, and you got a podcast or a platform, and you just bring up something that's not even really feasible and act like it is. It just gets frustrating because then it's like those people come in here and talk about it oh, we should do this, and we have to sit here and explain that it's not possible or it's not, and we have to explain how they got misinformed. It is basically the situation. So just wish people would get a better grasp for the CBA and what's possible, and not propose trading our top 4 pick for somebody who's going to be a free agent as if that's just something you can do. That'd be cool if people didn't suggest that.
Tilly asked, do you think Ant is proven? Because I have a friend who thinks Ant won't be as good or a better fit with Dame than CJ was.
Won't be as good as... I think he'll be just as good of a fit offensively, maybe even a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't see how he's a worse fit. Maybe he's not as good as CJ, but I don't see how he's a worse fit, because that's two different conversations.
He's a better... I mean... It's tough because CJ early on in his tenure, when he won Most Improved, and then the next year when he really broke out, came close to that 50, 40, 90 season. I don't think you can make an argument, but definitely the last few years, Ant is a better catch and shoot player from 3 than CJ has been. And also, I feel like off the dribble, Ant can pull up off 3 better than CJ. And I feel like Ant doesn't settle for mid-range as much, and I think that'll continue to get better in his development. So I think he'll turn into more of a facilitator if that's what Billups demands of him. Whereas CJ might have been a little bit tougher to, transfer to that kind of role. But overall, I just think he's more athletic. He's more explosive. He has the ability to maybe learn how to get to the free throw line better than CJ, and that would be a huge step into making that duo better. But defensively, I think is obviously where things would be different. And if Ant can just learn how to properly navigate screens, I think that would automatically make them a better defensive duo than than CJ and Dame ever were.
Yep, agreed. Spencer asked thoughts on Mike Richmond and Locked On Blazers. Do you want to give your thoughts on him or no?
I don't really have feelings about him. I don't. Yeah.
I don't know if he knows. He probably knows who we are. I don't want to just assume that he even knows who we are, but if he does, I don't know that he necessarily respects us. It just seems like a lot of people don't really respect us, and that's fine. So, I mean, maybe it's nothing against us. I don't know, but he probably doesn't. When it comes to just people that I don't even know about, if they are in the media scene or have a big platform like that, I don't know. I don't really try and become buddy with anybody, or if it happens, it happens. If people respect me, there's a couple people that I respect, that there's some mutual respect between, and those are cool people. I don't know, man. I don't really have many feelings towards him, but there's a lot of people that I just don't really have many feelings towards, compared to others.
Yeah.
Mr. T, I would be curious to hear that, but
Oh no, that was during, I think,
somebody asked him a question
our
or
first year.
something.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
asked him a question if he had heard of us or something, and he said no. And then they said their question was like, they've been critical of Stotts. Do you agree with this explanation? And they said something about why we don't like Stotts, and then yeah.
I
Yeah.
watched actually a little bit of one of his podcasts in like kind of skimmed through it, and within minutes I found a segment that was basically him saying, basically paraphrasing, "You're stupid if you think this." Which I know we get on people for thinking stuff, but I would never phrase it that bluntly.
Yeah.
If I do, that I shouldn't. But it's just like, okay, man.
Yeah.
It was about the Cronin trade, the CJ trade. So I was curious to see what he had to say, and it was, yeah, I didn't really agree with much of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like everybody yelled at Olshey, and now it's a situation, which I think I don't know if I said this, but I kind of saw this coming where, Cronin can make bad moves, and he's just going to get every excuse in the book because he's a nice guy, and people aren't going to be as nice towards Chauncey because he's not Terry Stotts, and that's basically exactly how it's gone.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it's gone. So.
What do you mean, speaking facts?
Yeah, I don't know what he means, but David, that's
Are you talking
funny.
about Cronin?
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate it, Max. Yeah, I mean, I just get tired of misinformation. I mean, people can have their opinions on Cronin or whatever. I will explain very logically why I disagree with them and make a pretty damn good case, and leave it at that. It's just the misinformation of people it bothers me, man. And I don't understand how people think that's a good move or would do that, even if it was possible. But I mean, that's the thing, is that's really honestly where I feel like our number one area of expertise is just with roster building, Eric, because we've studied the CBA, and I say that a lot, but like we really have, and paid attention to kind of how teams go about acquiring assets, and we know every player that's going to get drafted this year, and have watched them or will have watched them by then. So we try and get a good feel for it. Anyway. Anything else we'll answer?
That's true. We do know a lot of people that watch the Locked On stuff, so I think someone would have told us if they said something recently.
Yeah. Yep. It's funny because I can go to my YouTube channel and see your viewers also watched, and it's pretty obvious what the top two channels are. But then like Kenny Beecham's on there. But yeah, I mean, Spencer, I'm not accusing him of that. I'm accusing the other guys. I have no problem with Richmond. I mean, that's the thing. Richmond's one of those guys where I don't know. I will just, like, if we ever interact, I'll just give him the same energy he gives me. You know what I mean? I'll be have a basketball conversation, debate, and not insult him, and just be fair and respectful or whatever. But if he gives me some energy, like he thinks, I don't know. I just try and give people the same energy they give me. That's what I'm all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were you gonna say?
Well, I got kind of turned off by him when he started going at people for journalistic integrity and stuff like that. That seemed to be like all he tweeted about for a few weeks. And
it was like, oh, you used a quote in an article but didn't credit who asked the question. Wasn't that one of the things that he was on about? What?
Yeah, so it's like he made some vague tweet about it. Like, I have no idea. It just happened to be right after I had an article with a quote that I got from Chauncey Billups directly from the Blazers YouTube website. And so I don't even know if it was about me. It probably wasn't. But it just the timing of his tweet was right after I released an article. and then it said something like, yeah, if you're not crediting the person who asked the question, it's like you can't even freaking hear the questions on there, and it's free use information, like his answer. It's not, no one credits who asked the question.
And I guarantee you there's been at least once, I don't know, if you watch him, you can let me know, where he's brought up what somebody said, a player said, a coach said, or somebody, and didn't say, well, they said this in response to so-and-so's question.
So, to me, I felt like if he had an issue with someone, I mean, like, I don't know if he did this or not, but if it was with me, he could have DM'd me and said, hey, like, just so you know, like, this isn't cool that you did this or whatever, if you're trying to become a journalist or whatever, which I'm not. But yeah, he said, like, all these fake journalist wannabes type thing, you know. So
yeah, that's what made it seem like it might could have been about you.
So
yeah.
But anyways, so like, and then he kept posting stuff about that, and then a few weeks after, he was like complaining about how no one does this. He was then complaining about how the Blazers had a media availability at like early in the morning on a Saturday, and he didn't want to go or something. It's like, dude, like, you can't have it both ways. Like, if you like if you like having that access and want to be like revered because you have that access, then you can't then complain about the access you give, because all these wannabe journalists would die to have that same access or be invited to those media things. So just because you work for a place that allows you to have that access is, to me, what's propping him up, not his like basketball knowledge or whatever. But but
even
but he's a good
aside,
journalist.
like you know, it's. I understand maybe not wanting to do media availability early in the morning, but to complain publicly, I don't understand. But see, that's the thing, is it's just kind of sad, because we just gotta. There's just things like we've been through enough situations where I'm kind of just expecting people to not respect us that do similar things, and like that's the thing, is his tweet, if it is about you, is extremely disrespectful. And I think it had no grounds. There was absolutely no grounds. Like, do the Blazers, if they quote players in their thumbnails, or, you know, Chauncey in his thumbnail, in their thumbnails, do they put question asked by in the thumbnail? Do they put it in the title? So there was no grounds for that accusation, and it just, and I mean, it could have been about you, it could have been about somebody else, but just to go after somebody like that on those grounds and call them wannabe journalists because they didn't do something that is very basic, just kind of sucks. So
no chance. Speaking Frax, if you're talking about Jack Ramsey's, there's zero chance I'll ever do a show with them. Richmond, I'd be down if he, was.
It's just tough going into a situation like, do you not respect us? Do you, like, was that tweet about Eric? Like,
well, like I said, who knows? It was like just a tweet. Like, it could have just been a random coincidence, but
I mean, but it's like when you supposedly did the same thing, but it's not even a bad thing to do, but he thinks it's bad, and it's just, it would have applied to you, right? So it's just tough. But that's the thing, is I'm not going to reach out to him to do something. If he wants to bring us on, he can contact us. I know he works for Locked On, which is a big podcast network, but we have a big platform too. So it's not a situation where it's like we're some small guys, like, oh, can we come on, or do you want to collaborate? You know, like we're looking up to somebody that we think is bigger, you know. Maybe he is bigger because he's a part of Locked On, but we have enough of a platform. I don't view it from a standpoint where we are at, like, asking up. Does that make sense? So if he wants to collaborate, he can reach out to us. It's just we don't really collaborate much because we just assume people aren't going to really respect us. So, that's basically just where it stands.
Speaking fast, because there's no respect from either side. So,
like there's one person I can say I would for sure not ever collaborate with.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, anything else? Mr. T, yeah, I've talked to Crushables before. He's a 2K rebuilder, like 22K subs. Yeah, I know he gave me a shout out, or gave us a shout out in one of his videos, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember talking to him like before I think I was at True Blazer Fan. It might have been before I was even doing True Blazer Fan stuff, because I found him and he said he was a Blazer fan or something like that back when he was small. So I remember talking to him before I even started this up, and then I noticed that he subscribed a few months ago. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But speaking of facts, it's fine. Like, Locked On, it's fine. Like,
I was talking about Jack Ramsey's, not.
Yeah, Jack Ramsey's we don't mess with. That's very obvious by now. Locked On, no ill will. I just don't think he respects us. That's just kind of my gut feeling. And that's that, And that's the thing. It's fine. They don't have to respect us. If they just go about their own thing, even if they don't respect us, if they go about their own thing, that's completely fine with me. We just won't interact and it'll be fine. Like, and if he ever reaches out and says, hey, like what you guys do, and is, shows us some respect, like, cool, I'll respect him, cool. But then that's the energy we'll have, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is. So I don't try to be hard on people, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. There's just some people that have absolutely lost it, so.
Like when you go on the Blazer pregame show, whatever that's called.
Yeah. Like, me and Chad Doing used to beef, and me and Chad are cool now, man. And we even argued recently about, like, Chet and his, bad reasons for not liking him. You know what I mean? But, like, he still shows me respect. I show him respect. I listened to him before I even started doing YouTube. That was always kind of my radio show. So I've always kind of been a fan of his on-air persona and his energy. So I've always kind of respected him, even when he pissed me off and we were beefing. But, yeah, so that's the thing.
Except for his chat opinion, right?
yeah, screw his chat opinion. But other than that, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't have any, like, big ill will towards anybody. I mean, Pinwheel Empire, we used to not be able to stand, and then a guy reached out. We had some, like, toxic back and forth, but then he said they just, I don't know. Basically, there was this dude that was trying to repair the image, because there's a bunch of people that run Pinwheel Empire, by the way. Bunch of people that run that account. So it's not just one person. Some people are fine. Some people will tweet some stuff and kind of go after people in a way, or used to, that we didn't like, would talk trash about our podcast that nobody watches when we first started, you know what I mean? But dude reached out and said he was trying to fix things up. So I was like, okay, man, I respect that, I'll give you guys the chance to do that, and, if you accomplish that, then respect. Like, no, it will. And Pinwheel's been fine, right? I don't pay much attention to him, but it seems like they've been better than they used to be, so. Yeah. Hopefully my thoughts make sense, because I know when we talk about Jack Ramsey's and stuff, it's like, damn, you guys really try and hate him. That's just a different situation than everything else. So, anyway. Mm-hmm. Anything else on this conversation, Eric?
Appreciate everyone for watching, and hope everyone has a good night. And so Beeks, you should definitely watch that video Troy posted. But so 2 weeks from next Tuesday is the draft lottery, and we will be live on the main channel. And hopefully we'll be celebrating that night and having a great old time.
Yep, we will see. And then the mock-off season will start day after that. So we'll have your salary cap video right after that. I think maybe you're going to record it the night of? You going to be up for that?
Yeah, we'll see. I might. I'll have everything ready.
Yeah, because you're waiting for the draft lottery to know where our pick is, because that affects monetary values of things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if we start the mock off season the day after, or 2 days after, that gives some time to get that together.
And Tori, I haven't even talked to you about this, but I have recorded the first ever edition of Learning the Salary Cap with Hoopsjock. So,
Ooh, I'm interested
yeah.
to see what that's like.
So yeah.
Maybe I should. I kind of want to pay one of those like Fiverr animators with the whiteboards because I think they're pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tempted to try and go that route with the visuals. Maybe I don't know.
I'll just give you the video when it's edited, and then you can feel free to add whatever you think you need to add to it.
Yeah, we've got to figure out the visuals and stuff. But and like how, like where we're gonna publish it, how we're gonna publish it, that sort of thing. Because I definitely want to get it out before. Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure that out. But that'd be pretty cool. Just some CBA stuff for you guys to
break up your player breakdowns a little bit. I
have videos scheduled every day until July 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll figure it out. It could be second uploads. It could be. We could make it members only if you wanted to, but I think we'll just make them normal releases.
Just put on the main channel, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I have a video scheduled every day until July, so we'll have to figure it out. Anyway, we will have the final player review tomorrow. I dropped one on Nurkic today, so definitely go watch it. And then Dame will come up tomorrow. I didn't do any graphics for that because it's like I was sitting there thinking, Eric, like, what am I going to say that's positive considering the high standard he set and then he was injured all year? Like, I would sit here struggling for positives, but it's because he was hurt, not because of his play. You know what I mean? Not because of him, taking a step back or whatever. He was injured. And the negatives, it's like you could list pretty much everything because the dude was so hurt. So I didn't do it graphically. I just kind of focused on, some of their narratives and ranted for a good minute about people that are still saying that the Blazers need to free him or whatever, that type of stuff, and then like talked about what I expect from him moving forward and that sort of thing, his fit next to Ant a little bit. So that'll be coming up tomorrow, and then I will have a video where I just ramble about the first round of the playoffs and kind of recap that whenever those end. So that might be Saturday. If not, it will be Sunday, and then on the other day I'll have an 8 underrated prospects video. And then Monday I'll have a mailbag, so I will post a prompt for that in the community tab probably tonight or tomorrow. So definitely be on the lookout for that community tab of the main channel for the mailbag stuff, and then we'll start draft profiles. Still need to kind of hammer down the format for that, but I'm going to do that in the next couple days, so that's on tap for the future. Anyway, thank you everyone who tuned in for our mock draft, for some playoff talk. We appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the channel. Definitely subscribe to the second channel. Let's get it to 2,000. That would be cool to hit for this second channel. And we will catch you live again on Monday. By then the first round will be over. We'll see if we have, what we have to talk about there, but definitely kind of enjoying the slower pace of the off season in terms of streaming, and, still getting out the videos for you guys. So hopefully you're enjoying them. Anything else?
No, thanks everyone. Have a good night, a good weekend and all that.
Yep, thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you in the next one. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.